Okay, folks, happy Sunday morning. I had to think there for a second. That calls for a drink. I've only had half a finger of coffee. Cold coffee, of course. I feel like this is too. I feel like this is too high. I feel like I could lower that. I need to get rid of these glasses. We need the real glasses if we're going to be doing this stuff this morning. Can I do that relatively easy? No, I need an Allen wrench. I need an Allen wrench. Yeah. I should have been doing this show back when I didn't have to use readers for up close stuff. So now I just take my contacts out. But I always painted in 2020. Corrected 2020. Can't do that anymore. Anyhow, so we're almost done with this tank. And a disclaimer, I am a terrible picture taker. I'm not saying me in pictures. I'm just saying that I'm better at that. I mean, actually coming in with a phone and taking it. I get impatient. I'm like, I'll give it a couple, like 2 tries, and I'm like, all right, fuck it, move on. You know, um, yeah, and this thing's not so totally sealed. So what do we have left on this vehicle? It looks almost completely done. Well, I was working it off and on yesterday. I really didn't have time to do a paint session per se, other than the morning one that I did. I've got some little pin dots that I want to do with Nuln oil on the running gear, and and sealing it. That's about it. We're not doing chipping or none of that stuff. I'm not a big fan of chipping. I mean, when some pros do it, it looks great. I've done it, and it puts doubt in my mind that it even looks good. Because when you look at other people's stuff, it's real easy to say yes, no. Like, I like that, I don't like that. When you look at your own stuff, and it might actually be a yes category for you, if you weren't yourself, you start wondering, but does it really look good? As as Tick would say, but is that really the case? I don't know. You start doubting yourself. Anyways, enough talk. Null oil it is. I sound like I've been smoking. How do you say it? Majorcas. Yeah, it's fun to play Russians. It's fun to play Russians. Just don't talk about my mother. She has one tooth in her skull and likes potato. And I'm not talking about the modern Russians. I'm talking the old school commie Russians. All right. Mein Gott. Here we go. The cigarettes you was talking about. Yeah, those roll your own things. I'm not talking about that hippie shit that people do now. I don't know anything about that. Everything I know about drugs I've learned from watching Narcos Mexico. I should stick to that. I shouldn't watch any more drug shows. I really don't. I don't really like them, but I feel like that's a good saying. I want to be honest. I don't want to just make up sayings and like, well, this sounds good. Let's go with that. No, I either did or didn't do it. This shouldn't take too long, and then we're going to roll into the T60. So I'm kind of at a I'm kind of in a jam. You know what? There's got to be a better way to do this. There is a better way to do this. Let's put this thing away. There's a better way to do this. And for that, we will need our friend. It was right here. Unless I don't have a really small container. Oh, I cleaned up my desk. Well, that was the first mistake. I picked it up a little bit. Let's use this. This should have enough depth to do that. And let's get one of our things. Here it is. I've got to stop watching these videos. I'm not getting any printing done. I'll just set it to start and go. You're not supposed to watch these videos, Chad. You're just supposed to listen to them. My local group of wargaming people are the biggest turds, and I'll tell you why they're the biggest turds. They're like, oh, I don't have time to watch your videos. I said, okay, don't watch my videos. And I should start talking about them, but they're not worth talking about. Not that I game with them on a daily basis, anyways. On a weekly basis anymore, but I've said so. I don't have time to watch your videos. Okay. You don't have to watch it. What I first started doing that kept me on track was listening to talk radio. And since I don't care a flip about politics or sports, sorry, Chad, my dad didn't like sports, so. Now, I just think it's the wrong sports. Like, if you're into, like, women's pole vault, there could be more sports fans for that. I'm just saying. But, that's kind of what kept me off, because you never know what's coming up next. I tried Audible and stuff like that, and if you get really into something, then the next thing you know, you got to replay what the hell you just listened to. And I really liked, I had my other room actually had a TV like up beside it. This room's much better, even though it's smaller, but it's more practical. The room in the other house. I can't have something on TV, and it's something that has a picture. I can't listen to it because I feel like I'm missing out on something. So maybe you can't just listen to my programming. I know some of you can, but um, so I kind of envy the people that can watch television and do their hobby. I can't do it. But I never said I was a good multitasker. Other than, maybe run my mouth and do this. That's about it. But one of the issues I'm running with this is these two that I did were the first really good. I'm getting a lot better with the airbrush. And I'm not going to be I'm never going to airbrush as well as I hand paint. I got 40 years of this. I got 2 years of this. But this modulation, I don't really like that word, but forced shading actually was really good, and I was able to get in there pretty well. But when I go back to do the method that I always do on top of it, I kind of destroy some of this that I've done. Maybe it's a little too exaggerated, but it's a nice start. So the BT7 was the same way, and by the time I end up doing the dry brushing on top of it, it kind of softens that. So yeah, I don't know. And by the way, Chad, I think of all of the prints, the only one that really shows the lines for whatever reason is this one right here, the front of the BT7. I don't have a problem with it, but I don't know if that's something that you told me if you want me to bring things up. This is the only one really that even looks 3D printed. Is the front of that, and I don't know why. Maybe Maybe it's the file that these guys did. The Kulan definitely does not have any. And so our goal today is we're going to do we're going to finish this thing up, which isn't going to take much time. We're going to jump on the T60, and then we're going to start working on the Panzerjäger 1, because I encountered, I don't know if you watched my show the other day, I encountered, looking on info about the Panzerjäger 1, that there was a duel between one Panzerjäger 1 and a BT-7 that supposedly happened. They started doing an exchange of fire. The BT-7 commander said, "I don't like that guy. Let's run his ass over," you know? And he tried to. And the Panzerjäger 1 put several rounds into the BT-7 that caught fire and still crashed into this thing. So I'm like, that's what I'm going to recreate on my in my scenario. So, good morning, Marcus. Working on supporting a Finnish T-20 and a German 253 while listening. Looking forward to your first order, Chad. Your prints are great. Well, hopefully you get a lot more business, Chad, but not enough that when I send you orders, you can't pay attention to them. I'm ready for more vehicles, Chad. I can't build any for you. I'm building them from everybody else that watched your show. So, there's not much left to do on this, but the airbrushing has improved, which I'm glad, and it's just got to build up some confidence. This little plastic figure turned out freaking, I can't believe I actually had a guy that worked in, because the hatch was kind of small. I'm like, I got too many of these potato-eating Russians that won't fit in there as a tank commander. And I'm like, well, let me put this guy in sideways, and his hand rested perfectly on the hatch. I was really happy with how that turned out. Oh, and since we're all here now, I need to point this out, because if you didn't watch my airbrush session, you probably weren't aware of this. So I love the 8K paints. I love the 8K paints because I don't have to thin them. Because that's one step less I have to do. And that's a bunch of paint that's not sloshed around in a container that gets wasted. Let's move this out of the way so we don't have a debacle. Okay, this is the Soviet camouflage set, right? Honestly, if you know anything in the future, you might want to let me know. You can start working resizing the event. Not necessarily an order, but a wish list. Come on, we're at least 50%. There's more of us. There's more of us, but we're just old school, man. Old school America. So this is the set that comes with it, right? So if you look at the back, this is beautiful, and unfortunately I ripped it. Bad boy. This is the examples that they had on there. So the 4BO Russian green is pretty much the one that's all the way through the war. Okay, there's some earlier vehicles that had this protective green or the basic protector that was either Manchuria, the stuff they did in the 30s, Poland, that kind of stuff, that when you get into Barbarossa, they probably wouldn't have repainted any of those on there. So I'm like, okay, I got a BT-7. Here's an opportunity of doing something different. The T-60, it's going to be in 4BO. Okay, they didn't come out until, I don't know, autumn 41 or something like that, right? And so we got protective green and basic protector. And you look at this, you look at the picture back here, which is this beautiful art. And this is protective green. It's a very, almost has a little bit of blue in it with a green, at least in this picture. This Russian green's a little bit more olive. And the basic protector alkydno uretanovaya. Okay, these are the other two. So I'm like, let's do this one, okay? Because it's a BT on it. When you pull this color out, this is your basic protector, okay? And don't be fooled. When you pull this out, it sprays the same color. I'm like, this is not a workable solution. I may try this on something small, but this would turn like, this would not be anywhere near this, and it would be nowhere. I wouldn't be happy with it at all. So this looks like a dud. This is like, if you've bought the German set, this looks like the color that they call the Rosetta green, which is almost like, I think it's a green that they experimented putting on top of Panzer Gray. But this is way too light for this. So what I said in that video is, use your own judgment. If something doesn't look right, it probably isn't. Just like I say at work. I said, if you look at a load and it looks unsafe, it probably is. So use your own judgment. So this is the basic protector color, which is almost a blue-green, and here it's brown as shit. It's almost like the color of like U.S. olive drab. That's pretty freaking close to U.S. olive drab. Actually, while I'm thinking about it, let's see how close to U.S. olive drab it is. Well, it's darker. Now these are all done using the same painting style, so you can kind of look at it now. What's this T70 look like with the I like the Vallejo Russian green the best. This is the Vallejo Russian green. Yeah, it's a more full green, but anyways, I don't mind having a different color. You know, who knows what's happened on that tank before we got around to it. But oh, and by the way, here's another. I do have one BT7 by BP Cast. This is with the Vallejo Russian green, and it's one of the earliest ones that I did, and the model is just garbage. Sorry, BP Cast, but your models are garbage. Won't be doing any of those. As a matter of fact, I got to go through my tanks, the ones that I have left to build. There's just some I'm just never going to build. You know, because this takes as long to do as this, so I might as well have one that looks good. You know? And this is like 1/76 scale, apparently. So I'm kind of bummed out about one thing. I'm not real excited to put these on bases. What does that mean? Well, what do you think it means? It means I'm going to keep going and not get bogged down by bases. The snow vehicles, I have half a mind to never put on bases, because I would have to do the infantry. I would have to do snow infantry, find out how I want them based. Okay, I like that. Then go and do the vehicles in an equivalent manner. So it's like, if I don't do the vehicles based at all, I can just keep going with the snow vehicles. So really like some of the DAK prints. Most certainly be part of my first order. Yeah. This thing, by the way, is spot on the same size of the ones from in 1/72nd scale from Pegasus. These are both BT7s, but they got the earlier turret on them. And this is the Vallejo Russian green. Which would be equivalent to, yeah, this is the 4BO equivalent Russian green. So, and these are okay. I mean, they lack a lot of detail compared to this, but they're all right. They're okay. But the sizing on them is exactly the same. So, whatever scaling you did, and these don't have black lining on them. Now I gotta go back and blackline stuff. I'll eventually go. I can't stop and do that. It'd be, well, the next year I went back and blacklined everything. You know, we'll get to it eventually. It's easy to do after the fact. So, any bad cast? I don't know. The problem with the Rex is it causes too much. It's actually more work. Now, Chad's got in. I forget which manufacturer it is. Has Rex has some wrecked vehicles, and they look pretty good. Honestly, they don't look wrecked. They don't look wrecked enough. But when you think of a wrecked vehicle, you either think of, a vehicle that's been hit by artillery, it's been flipped upside down, or something that's just been torn apart by an internal explosion. Most of them are just knocked out or something like that. So let's just say this was a step doing this. And I don't know if you can see a good example of how this turned out. I was really impressed that I was able to pull this off. But this is and I am a terrible picture taker. So, Chad, when I send you pictures of this, they'll be better, hopefully. But I feel sometimes like I'm a kindergartner when it comes to taking pictures. So all I do is I take it. The first step to taking pictures, take them. And I just put auto on it because it usually looks better because this light washes everything out. But we're just going to leave this one as is. And it looks better in person than it does in the photo. The human eye is really an incredible thing. If you look at something like that, I'm more likely to try something like that on my Africa core whenever I get around to them. But I can't go to Africa until I start doing a lot of research because I don't want to find out, I wish I would have labeled them like this. But that sounds like it's a lot of work, and it's not. That's fun. All right, back to this. Whew, another sip of coffee. So I just want this nice detail to pop out. I've actually never done black lining on the running gear. And it's a stylized thing that I like. I prefer it to be a mix between graphic novel and realistic. And the painters that I've seen that I really gravitate towards their work have that type of style. I don't really like the ultra realistic because all the details get lost in there. You need like this, I should say black. I call it black lining, but it's really pin washing. Black lining is really, really dramatic. And it looks good until you get up close. Then it's like too like you rushed it. There's one guy that would do a lot of DBA stuff. And he was a prolific poster. I don't remember what their name is anymore. I don't want to single them out because I think they did good work, but when they took pictures of them up close, it didn't look the same as it did far away. And I'd like to think that the stuff I do looks just as good, the same level far away than up close. And I can't help that. I'm like, I'm looking at everything in +6 right now. So if this looked like crap up close, I wouldn't be able to stand it. So I usually have to do the opposite. I have to go, okay, let me step away from it and see what it looks like. There's so many of these little details on here that it's just a shame not to bring them to life, to accentuate them. But we need to clear coat this thing. We need to matte coat it to take some of this little bit of shine on it. It's not much, but it does make a difference. go over to this side. So these axles, these two wheels actually turn. They turn. So this thing can run without tracks, and it steers with these two. But yeah, I'm not a mechanic, but there's some interesting running gear options on some of these vehicles that you don't really think of. The first thing I noticed, and I thought it was a mistake, I got some of those junk tanks, and I don't know I'm going to do anything with them. Maybe I should just like get drunk and paint them, and then when I sober up, what I mean by get drunk, I mean get tipsy. But one of the models that has things put in all the wrong places, I'm not going to pull out the junk model because it looks like crap, was an Elephant / Ferdinand. And I've got one here from Dragon. And I don't know what I want to do with this thing because I don't want to repaint it. I think I probably should just blackline it and just weather it because it looks pretty. Ooh, we got a wheel here that's it's taking a hit. Looks like it's already hit a Russian mine. Maybe we'll leave it that way. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with it. Anyhow, look at the front and the back on the Elephant. They have two sprocket wheels, so there's no idler there. How weird. Or maybe one of them is the idler, but it's also but both of them are sprocketed. I've never seen that on a vehicle before. Crazy, huh? So, anyhow. Oh, I came up with a solution and then didn't follow it. But anyways, I was thinking about that confrontation between the Panzerjäger 1 and the BT-7. 45 millimeter versus a 47. I think actually the BT-7 has an advantage because the problem with that matchup is, I mean, if the BT-7 wasn't moving, the Panzerjäger 1 is actually a 2 crewman gun. So it's one of those, the commander is also the gunner, and then you have a loader. And then you've got the driver / radio operator. So in that one, actually, it's a 3-man crew. So there's no advantage. There's none of that German advantage of having the commander free to do other duties. He's like a Russian guy. He's doing all the stuff himself. He's doing the firing as well and the commanding. But a Panzerjäger 1 can't take a 45 millimeter gun hit. I mean, it's pretty much hosed. There's nowhere on it that the 45 is going to be, stymied by the armor on a Panzerjäger 1. Whereas I could see the 47 millimeter hit the BT-7 at a certain angle and it glance off. So it's going to be interesting. I'm literally going to do it just so I can learn how to do the vehicle system. But I think that's a viable scenario. That's a one-on-one, one vehicle versus another vehicle. And then I don't know when that is. It'll be after that's done. That's for sure. but I didn't really have. I had time to work on this yesterday. I just didn't have time where I like knew I was going to be able to dedicate 2 hours to it straight. So I never started filming. But I had people come over. I'm like, okay, I gotta seal the guy. So I'd painted the figure, and they showed up, and I had to sneak over here and finish it again, and do a another coat of it, and the figure actually turned out okay. I always like not get excited about doing the figures, and then I do them, and I'm like, oh, it's not exciting because I'm used to doing medieval. I'm still do used to doing medievals and be more creative in the colors. And honestly, all the figures are drab. My mom came over and I showed her what I was working on. I was like, all these soldiers look the same. I said, well, to an untrained eye, yeah, and they look a lot more similar than like medieval and Romans and knights and stuff like that. They stand away from each other, but I got kind of got what she was saying. I haven't done a face of battle and tank engagement yet. No, no. Yeah, I haven't done the AT either. Yeah, you haven't missed out on anything. You haven't missed out on anything. I think I think the vehicle on vehicle is going to be easier because it's just one on one, and there's only two sheets I got to do. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it the way it's presented, and then I'm going to go in and dive into the two vehicles and see if there's something that's maybe inaccurate in the rules that could be better represented. And I don't think I'll find something. I don't want to go with the assumption that there's something wrong with it altogether. So, but I am concerned that I'm going to like the snow too much. This this T34. Hello. This T34 is turning out really well. I don't know what to do with the tracks yet, how to weather them, but the actual finish of it with these little drippings, yeah, I'm enjoying that a little too much. And it needs to be sealed because right now I look at it and I'm like, the little drippings are shiny, just because there's shiny aspects to this. But once I varnish that, once I seal it, varnish makes it sound like it's always shiny, right? Because I had varnished chairs growing up. I'm like, yeah, they were shiny as shit. Wooden. I lived in a house and we had like wood colonial type furniture or whatever. And yeah, they had varnish on them. It was like slicker than snot. Looked like somebody was dripping baby oil all over them. That's how shiny they were. So varnish to me has a gloss coat type connotation to it. But whenever I matte coat these things, then we'll go from there. And the other thing about not filming that doesn't mean I don't want to film. I'm just saying there's a lot of things that make things a lot easier not filming. The wife was working on something in the other room, and I'm here and I'm like interacting with her, but like I have no problem hanging out with my wife all day long. Like we could be in the same room just doing two different things. So that works. And she's not real needy though. I mean, she'll come over and sometimes she'll want to do stuff, or we're trying to watch this show recommendation. Okay, I have a show recommendation for you guys. that I kind of came across it accidentally. It's not a war movie; it's a comedy. I came across it on Amazon, and it's the kind of comedy we like. But we like, the series that we've enjoyed watching is, remember, I gotta watch something with a wife. The wife watching stuff. We watch Friends and which is almost the gold standard as far as I'm concerned. We've watched Rules of Engagement. We watched parts of Scrubs, all that kind of stuff. And there's a couple things. We really enjoyed the British Coupling, the one that was on several years ago. We enjoyed that. It was, I think, only like 2 seasons or something like that. We enjoyed that. And what else did we watch? So we came across, Modern Family. We came across this one thing on Amazon that started like it was going to be really lame, and we've really enjoyed it. And the daughter was here with her roommate, and we were all like busting out laughing. Let me find it for you. It's worth watching one episode and see if you guys like it. It's got no laugh track. Thank you. So it doesn't need one, and it's pretty fast paced. And it's called, let me find it on video. It's called Dinner with the Parents, and it's on Amazon Prime. Check it out. And we tried watching Schitt's Creek a second time. Schitt's Creek has everything there for it to be really, really funny, and it's just it's too slow. Like, the writing's not there. All the characters are there, but it could be so much better. Was it the BT-7 you said had the print lines running through it up near the front of the hull? Yes. I'm going to go look at it and see if I can smooth out the STL file. Yeah. Let me show you a picture. I don't even have to take a new one. And it's about the only thing it's the only thing I've encountered right now that, well, if we're going to do QC, let's talk QC. I do QC-ish type stuff at work, so... Now, with that said, these are like the best models I have, period. So if they have any faults, they're still the best thing out there. So here's the front of... I love painting little headlights. That's really the only part on any of these models that has any lines. And I don't know why they decided to appear here, because the rest of the model is completely crisp. There are some scratches angular lines that come across the back of the turret. Doesn't really bother me, but they are there. The rest of the tank is 100% crisp. Completely, absolutely crisp. It's just those parts on this thing. Now, the T60, the front of its plate is a little, not the back, but the front is a little grainy with lines, but the lines are much smaller. These lines are like a third the size of these. That's really the only thing on here. The turret is just perfect. And that barrel bent back just fine with hot water. And there's a few lines here on the front of the let's see, what would it be? It'd be the mantlet. It'd be the top of the mantlet on the 20 millimeter. It has some angular lines there that are kind of noticeable. Like I said, it doesn't bother me. Even Plastic Soldier Company has the top of their mantlet that's fucked up that I had to fix. I'm not going to fix it. That's just fine. Let's see if we can... But the front of this thing is incredible. The front of this, I don't know what the actual vehicle's looking like. I'm not getting into the, well, let's make sure that the guy that designed this vehicle designed it correctly. No, I'm not here to, you know, I mean, there's all kinds of cute little things going on there. I like it. Oh, and one of the arms on the T60 on the bottom didn't print correctly. You can't tell, but when I assembled it, not a problem. Dinner with the Parents, the U.S. version, or Friday Night Dinner is a cracking comedy show. Looks like the mesh needs to be tightened up. Might be able to do it without the designer's help. Well, all these vehicles I got, I'm gonna want at least a second one of at some point. So it's certainly the case with the A13. Certainly the case with the Matilda. As much as I want to paint those British tanks, and I'm telling you, I'm like, I'm chomping at the bit because it's like, oh, complicated camouflage scheme. Put me in, coach. You know, I want to be careful because I want to give them the correct markings that I'm going to have to decide on, and growing up in the early '90s. One of the first things I did using Command Decision was the Western Desert stuff, and the Western Desert blows my mind for one thing because the British call their battalions regiments. So, you know, and back then you didn't have like, you know, you can find a lot of this information that you have questions on now because you just like, oh, you know, why is the sky blue? You know, you could look it up, whatever reason, but you couldn't back then. And, you know, it always blow my mind on that. And the other thing is that Matildas are infantry tanks, right? So they're in tank brigades that are separate from armored divisions, except in the Western Desert, where the 7th Armored actually had at least one tank regiment mixed in with cruisers that had Matildas. And so I've got to peel the levels of that onion. But it is unlikely that I will do my Matildas in the really early markings because when they were used in that time period, in Operation Compass, that a lot of the scenarios that I have in that book are from the counterattack against the Italians. The 7th Armored did not have the Jerboa on it yet. It was just a white circle because it was a call out to the First World War 7th Division, and I'm like, well, that just looks lame. You know, when I can do something that has a cute little Jerboa iron or something like that. So I don't know what markings I'm going to do on the Matildas, because then the tank brigades that were used in the desert both have lame markings as well. They've got those diamond shaped things that are like, that's it. Like, okay, that's shitty. So, you know, I don't know what I'm going to do yet with the markings. That's why I'm holding off on that. But we've got the AFV paint set for the counter, and you know, I did one and I was pretty happy with it. So cool your jets, British folk. I love the British for the desert. I think they're cooler than the Africa Corps. I really do. So all right, where was I? Over here. Man, that coffee is fucking strong as shit. I'm like a professional coffee drinker, and we got this Nespresso thing, and it does this cold coffee thing, and it's super strong. It was so strong. I had one night, and I wasn't able to put these models together. I just kept getting distracted. Counter was a general in Compass. I thought he was a colonel. Ha! So that book is so good that I have an Audible. It's called like Desert Armor Beta Fom through Operation Crusader. or something like that. It's so good, and I'm listening to it on Audible. I'm like, I can't do this. I encounter things that are so good. It's very, audiobooks are terrible. I have a very hard time going back to them and finding what I was reading about. So that's the other book that's coming in the mail. I've got the physical copy of that one coming because there's so much juicy bits in there. So I don't want to pay any desert stuff until I've gone through that book, at least cursory. So I got to make decisions like the A13s, for instance, right? So I got one scenario: the A13s that were in that scenario would have been Second Armor Division. Well, Second Armor Division, at least in part or for the most part, got sent to Greece, right? Which is one of those theaters that I have zero interest in. Okay, there's some theaters about World War II that I'm never gonna war game. I mean, I'd play it if it was like an advanced squad leader or something like that. But like actual do miniatures for, I don't give a shit about Greece. I don't give a shit about Greece. I'm not gonna build stuff for it. The Crete, just don't care. I can't be into everything. That's what I'm gonna decide not to be into. You know, I don't care about Vichy French versus the Americans. Just doesn't interest me. And Greece is one of those periods. So I don't want to make those A13s for that scenario because after around mid 41, those guys disappear and they get sent to Greece, and they end up getting captured there, or abandoning their vehicles or knocked out or what have you. So I'm probably going to do the A13s for Operation Crusader, with the big red and white stripes on them. And a lot of the vehicles for Operation Crusader didn't have the armor division markings on them, which is a shame. So I'm probably going to break that rule because the British armor division symbols are just too cool to not do them on a vehicle. So you look at a lot of like the pictures of like Crusader tanks for Operation Crusader, the A-15s, and a lot of them have no divisional markings on them at all. I'm like, well, I'm not doing that. I'm putting divisional markings on them because they look awesome, regardless of what division. I can't think of any British armored divisions that have really shitty markings. Like, ooh, we don't want to do that. They're pretty much all good. I like some better than others, but so those kind of decisions are kind of decisions I've kind of already made. There's no point in. It's funny because I'm not. I don't necessarily have to put German armored division markings on theirs, but they're a lot less prominent than the British ones. The British ones are like full fucking color, with the all that stuff. So, but everything is it's a stylistic choice. A lot of people do like vehicles for the desert, and they'll do like powders and stuff. And I don't like the idea of a light color going into a crevice because although it may look realistic, at 3 feet away, you lose the detail. So you know, it gets all just turned into a blob, which looks okay, but you know, there's um there's a beautiful write up that this one guy did, and I knew about him before I knew that he did World War II stuff. And some of you guys in Britain might know who he is. I can't remember what his name is. He has kind of a normal name, meaning it's not like not very memorable. but he's got a website that's prolific. He posts a lot on there. Like I don't use my what's it called? See, I can't even remember what the hell it's called. I was gonna say DOSBox. No, it's not called DOSBox. WordPress. I don't use my WordPress site anymore because it takes a lot of work to put stuff up there. I love to talk about stuff. I love researching. I don't like writing and putting things on paper because I find it very tedious, and I have to do a lot of that at work. I don't want to relive my work stuff. Um, but and I can't tell whether or not people are even doing it. Because it's one thing if I'm doing stuff because I want to do this. Like I want to do this. Okay. If you guys watch it, awesome. If you don't, that's okay. I'm still doing what I want to do. But if you're doing stuff for other people and you don't get the response back where you can see that anybody's even paying attention to what you're doing, like you're like, I'm going to scream at the sky, but nobody's going to be there. Like, what good does it do? And I feel like a WordPress site is like that. But anyways, this guy's name is something like Oli Kanada or something like that. If you look at and I really love the way he did a lot of the stylistic choices that he did. I want to say his name is Robert Broom, something like that. Operation Crusader game. And I'll find it immediately. Oh, here's all of Tick's 9-hour and 13-minute epic thing. I need to watch that again. You know what it is? It's probably under CD Rosé. CD Rosé War Game. Oli Kan Oli Kanalads. Oli Kanalads games. What's this guy's name? James Roach. Sorry. James Broom. I think that might be one of the guys that's in one of the other. James Roach. Oli Canalad. Oli Canalad. OLICANALAD apostrophe S. And I love the stylistic choices that he did on a lot of this stuff. Um, Beautiful War Games table. And you really can't get it's got the wrong color on the counter schemes, but it still looks good. But I probably would have painted this way too. Yeah, they're a little bit more blue than they really were. But here's some A13s right here. And I don't know what rule set he's using, but I probably wouldn't have been satisfied with it. I can tell you that already. But the models are incredible. Just incredible. But he actually does black lining. I'm pretty sure those are 15s. But anyhow, yeah. I don't know him. I just encountered that, and I'm like, yep, that's well done. You know, I like stuff when you come across it. You're like, yeah, I want to do that. Like, yep, like that's right down my. It's motivating, like motivating to I want to do. It piqued my interest, I think is the correct way of saying that. You can't just do a black wash on top of this and it go where you want it to go. It'll end up going in places you don't want it to go and be like, yeah, I'm okay with the overall brown one because kind of need it to make some different colors in different places, but and this doesn't take as long as I'm making it out to be. I'm just getting distracted, getting pulled in different things, but well, I need no more coffee, man. I could feel it, and I'm pro level, man. I'm like an Irishman to alcohol to caffeine, and I don't know what's in that stuff, but maybe I'm just getting older. Yeah, I'm not that old, damn it. I'm here. I'm here to keep Marcus from being the youngest guy. Be right back. Almost everybody that I encounter that does this historical hobby is 10 years older than me. But I have a sister that's 14 years older than me, same mom, so I really should be 10 years older than myself. Huh? Is that like being your own grandpa? Kinda. I know. Some of you guys are thinking, why are you putting that much effort into it? Because these models fucking deserve it. That's why. That's why. It's that little bit of shine just really kind of distracts your eye. Just enough that when you put that matte sheen on it, it just evens everything out. All right, now I'm going to do something I don't normally do. Uh oh. Do I actually have this? I may actually have this. No. No, hold on a second. Let me make sure that we don't have anything underneath these before this comes tumbling down. Let's make sure I don't have any. Here's another null oil. Okay. Let's see what we got down here in Citadel Land. Agrax Earthshade. Agrax Earthshade. I still have two Agrax Earthshades. Well, some of these are like, I'm not going to buy a rusty one. I say that, and then I really need to put these in a different place. What do we got up here? That's the dark tone, which is the black equivalent. Let me get the soft tone here from Army Painter. I did some of this on the snow vehicles, and I really liked it. And the only reason I switched was, oh, this was made in Spain. Usually these are made in Denmark. This was made in Spain. España. I'm going to do very little of this to see if I like it in the future. Not oil washes. This is this is stank free. Oh, am I grabbing any of it? I got this one guy that I know that was in armor in real life, and he said these guys that rust up these vehicles, like there's no vehicle that would look like that. You know, they're gonna have to do some maintenance. Well, somebody's trying to be cute. You just don't. They don't look that way, you know. And I mean, I think there's probably extreme examples, but I don't want to keep this to the minimum. But that's where the fuel's going to be in these. There's at least liquids that are put in here. And it's really subtle. Yeah. I'm afraid every little thing I try to add on to it is a slippery slope because I may like it and then the next thing you know I'm taking even longer to do. But I don't have a time period when I'm doing this. It's not like I gotta have this done by a certain time. No, I don't. You know. Hold on one second. Okay. Thanks for letting me know I wasn't muted. Yeah, I got really thick skin. You guys know that. I don't want somebody coming in and posing as thinking it's cute to pose as a dictator. And so we needed to snub that. And I don't know how to block you guys. I don't know how to do it because it's never had to happen before. I had one guy tried to start a jihad, but I was on a video that wasn't live. So I think I know how to do it now. So we'll just keep this on standby. But you know, I don't have a problem with swastikas on my models. I don't show them in videos because because then a lot of the stuff that happens with YouTube is automatically like blocked by bots. So next thing I have a video that's not viewable to everybody because I showed a tiny little crooked spider somewhere, right? Even though we're not promoting that ideology kind of stuff, but I'll never be able to get the video back because then it's got to go for review, and they got bigger fish to fry than to mess with me. So I just don't show the stuff, but I don't have a problem with, I've always I would never build a model like a Stuka without the crooked spider on the tail. I just wouldn't do it. As a matter of fact, I have an entire box of like swastika decals from way back when because a lot of the models didn't come with them. But I'm not going to show those on the videos or any of the pictures. I mean, if you want me to send you a particular, thing, but then I'm wondering why exactly do you need to see the crooked spider that badly? With click on three dots whenever you hover the name in chat. Yeah, but I can't do that from this screen. So I gotta have it on this one. Yeah, let's not get that going. I mean, I'm all for being cute, but I got a bad feeling about this, Sarge. And I'm not even one of the groups that the Nazis would have gone after. So that's just let's not get that going there, okay? Yeah, I don't want to go there. And don't come back in posing as Joseph Stalin because he was a dick too. Anyhow, sorry about that distraction, but I just felt like before we get things going in a wrong direction, and not you guys, but we need to put a stop to that. So. Can we all agree that he was an asshole? I mean, there's some. I mean, he didn't even look cool. Okay, because we've talked about this before. The Germans and the Nazis, they were freaking masters of like, whoa, careful what I say with the next word, propaganda and stuff. Like all their tanks had really interesting, vehicles, and their uniforms were awesome, and that's why people gravitate. That's what I think people gravitate towards doing German stuff because their stuff just looked cool. They were rat bastards in real life. Like I said, we have too much government right now, and that's like taking it to the fucking extreme, And yeah, we're not going to go there. But Hitler wasn't even a sharp dresser, I mean, he was an asshole and looked like shit. I mean, anyways, it's the first time for everything. So, are we almost done with this? That didn't happen until Chad started showing up. What the hell? You bring in these funny people, these mustachioed guys that come onto the channel. But yeah, so I think what I've got to do is I got to start watching my own. I got to have it on this screen because I can't do it from this screen. Yeah, well, you should probably change your name, dude. That's not cool. Anyhow. And whoever you are, I'm sure you're a better person than Adolf Hitler. You should just go with that. Okay. Are we done with this little commie bastard? Because we don't like the commies either. I think so. I think we need to get this a matte varnish, and then we'll get that out there. Okay? Okay, the T60, another commie bastard. Cute tank. Is it a three? Is it a 3-man tank? Let's see if it's a 3-man tank. I get the feeling it's a 2-man tank. T60. I would put T60 crew. Oh my gosh, they made 6,200 of these things? Holy cow. All right, well, how many crew members? Two. It's a 20 millimeter cannon that's really long. I don't know how many calibers it is. I would imagine it's probably some same thing was in a plane. Installed in many Soviet aircraft. Yep. Oh my god. Oh, okay. I thought this is a 12.7. The 12.7 by 108 millimeter. That is a long freaking caliber. No. 20 by 99. Yeah, it's this long as shit. It's super long as shit. All right. So the first thing we're going to do, this already has a brown wash on top of this. We're going to go back and grab the original color that's here. Let's put a lid on this because we're going to need this for a little bit. That is the 4BO. Russian green. Okay. And the napkin has worked a lot better. I don't know why you guys didn't tell me use a napkin. It's working a lot better than trashing this cardboard a lot. So I only did that because I was running out of cardboard. So put a little bit of this here. And where are my brushes that? I like this one. This is a nice and soft one. This is the same color that we airbrushed on here. Except now this is a little darker than the airbrush color that we did. Because it's got the brown wash on it. Man, why was I so skimping on this. I'm going to try to go a little lighter on this because I don't want to undo some of this cool modulation that kind of happened here. We just want to brighten this up a little bit more. And then we'll do the turret as well. Yeah, I did this a little lighter than I did on the other one. Because I want to keep some of the little shadows in there that, like free shadows. I guess some of you probably say, well, I created them. Well, I just want certain parts to be, more noticeable than others. This thing has some incredible detail. Especially these edges. I mean, this is, I can't believe that they decided to manufacture this with this many edges on it. All right, so we've got that. We're going to take this same color and we're going to use the sand, dark sand. This is a new one. That's Iraqi sand. You'll get your turn, Iraqi sand. Buff. I need to hide buff. I always end up picking up buff when I want the other one. Dark sand. Here it is. And then we're going to take a little bit of this dark sand and lighten this color. Just a wee tad. And if you don't know what to do and you're getting brush marks, brush it down. As you'll see stuff that's been in the rain for a while and will pick up a little bit of dust. And when it rains, it'll streak down. And then we want to hit these edges to make it stand out. This thing has some incredible detail in some places. I mean, this driver's compartment is just crazy the amount of detail it has. And the good news is there's a cute little headlamp for me to paint. I love painting headlamps. Once I figured out how I was happy with them, then I like painting them. Well, you're unsure about how things are going to turn out. And we're going to leave the end of this barrel like that, where it almost looks smoky. I didn't even do anything to that. That's just how it came out. So all you gotta do is just keep the paint off of it, and it's like perfect. Okay, and then you might go in at a little bit more. You got to be really careful with this, or it's a pain to fix this if you go too far. It took me a long time to decide on a paint scheme for the BT7. I'm not 100% sold on it. I think I did the best thing that I could with that one. That's an actual decal from, uh, well, it's not a decal. I hand painted it, but it was from either Star or Kolibri, or it's probably in Russian is Kolibri, which in Spanish means hummingbird. And I'm gonna leave that there, okay? Because it's not that less is more, but more can be too far. And that pre-shading that I did is still apparent there. Okay, so before we do the weathering, we need to figure out how we're gonna number this thing. So I've already took a picture of. Okay, let me go to my gallery. I was gonna do this, and then I couldn't figure out on Google Translate to what it meant. But then there's no number on it. It looks like congrats in Russian. Congrats, you're in the tank force. Now go up there and get yourself killed. But this is the one that I did. A lot of them are just like boring. Like, here's a snippet of one. Look, there's 218, but there's no other markings on 218. So I'm like, well, let's do 24, and we get to do a nice little white ring around the top of it. So, there was another option to do a white cross on the top of it, okay, which is pretty cool, but there's no other markings on it. I could have just invented some, but I actually have a BT7 that has the white cross on it, so I'm like, it's always good to mix things up a little bit. All right, back to my T60s. And this is from Colibri. Oh, and they have a little hummingbird. Okay. So I like the triangle on the roof. I don't like the red star inside the triangle. For some reason, it just doesn't. I don't care for it. I and I don't know why. That's a really small. That's a really small triangle. So we're gonna forego that Russian triangle. And this is with 18 on it. So there's one here that's 10. So I'm going to paint a 10 on mine. And I'm going to do that little white striping across the top again. And that's what we're going to go with. I could have just picked another number like, 17 or something like that, but 10 will work. And I'm gonna have to do that, but I'm gonna have to hold it in my hand because I've got a lot more control with that. All right, so let's get. Where's my blue one? Because it's a lot easier to tell where the stuff is on a blue one. And by the way, I actually clean one of these off. So this is these are definitely reusable. And I don't know that I'm going to use a wet palette for World War II stuff. It's so much easier. It's to just do it like this and not have that big area that the wet palette is. I end up having to like fiddle with a wet palette a lot just to get the just because of the paper. It's just easier to deal with this. So the little lid. And let's get a little bit of water. All right. There's a tiny little top and a tiny little bottom on the 10. Oh, this is weird. This would bug the hell out of me. Look at the 18. The number's at the top on one side and it's on the bottom on the other side. Looks like somebody made a mistake. And it's over that plug. We're not going to do that. Can we do that? Can we get a 10 that small? Yeah, we can get a 10 that small. We're even going to start on that side. Ah, shit. I'm not following my own advice. Ah! Okay. Gotta put black down. I like to start off with a little bit of gray. Just a minimum of markings, but just a little 10 down here with just a little bit of meat, a little clear space behind it. Okay? And then we have that happy stripe across the top. So it goes over this rivet. Make go a little darker. Lots of people like to use paint pens to write things. I've never had any luck with it because I can adjust the thickness of what I'm painting to a degree. You can't with a pen. You're stuck with whatever that is. As you can see, the little treatment that I did to this to modify the color by adding that dark sand, if I had used that protective green, this would have turned in like, It would end up looking like a light avocado. It would have been really weird. So just because somebody says, "Hey, use this color," that doesn't mean anything. Now I got a decision to make with this stripe. Do I stripe across the front of this or across the bottom of this? I'm gonna go across the front of this piece. I think that's gonna look better. All right, now let's add more white to it. 3 layers is about right for this. And every time you add a layer, it's an opportunity to kind of correct how something looks. It's like maybe you're painting like, man, it's a little bit to the left. So when you come in and put the next one on top, move it a little bit. It's kind of like tracing. Let's go to this side. And I have a lot better luck when doing the lines. Pull them always towards yourself. Now, I think here, I'm gonna leave a little bit of gap of green above that. All right, just a little white thing across there. And then I'm going to use pure white ish. You know, thinning your paint with a paintbrush, I don't mind doing that. I'm always screwing with the consistency of it. But with an airbrush, no. I'd rather not have to do that. There's a lot of waste in that. You got to put it in another container. That container ends up keeping some of the paint along its sides. I'd just rather not do that. Okay, there's a little thing that went sideways there that I would have rather it not be that way. So we're going to come in and touch that up with a little bit of blue. Of blue? No, that would be a bad idea. Let's not add blue to the mix, but let's finish up this numbers on here. This numbers, yeah, these numbers. Okay. Right, now let's come in and clean up that green. So what I found out that works really well is just use that same green color. Is there any of it still alive? Nah, it dried up. Even as watery as this. Oh, I may have done that on a different one. Well, that's a hell of a big drop. I don't even need to squeeze it. So let's add a little bit. This is super watery. Add a little bit of black. It's easier to deal with when it's darker. Okay, that should be good now. We're going to end up black pin washing in there. Okay, that's all the markings it has. As much as I like putting little red stars on things because it adds that pop of color, it's really not something that it should have. Now, before I start painting things black, like to do the gun barrel and stuff, because I don't want to weather over that and then have to touch it again. The road wheels I do want to weather over them, and I know these things have a rim. And man, it is a small freaking rim. And I missed a piece of flashing here. So let's grab our X-Acto knife, take care of that, before we'll just have to fix it up later. As soon as I can find my X-Acto knife. Oh, I put it in the new container. Face down, thankfully. Everybody quiet all of a sudden. It's almost like somebody came in and ruined the mood. Ah, these humans. All right. Yeah, we're going to use, I don't normally use this one for road wheels, but I think in this case, we're going to need to. Oh. All right. We don't want that to pop off. All right. Comrade pop off. It doesn't look like there's any rubber on the top of them. This is totally doable. I can actually see that rim. That's small. I do want to check to make sure that idler wheel on the back doesn't have rubber because it looks like it does according to this print. So let's look at T60 light tank. Oh, a T69. That's a cool vehicle. That's one of those World of Tanks vehicles. Yep, looks like it has it. You don't hear much about this little vehicle. Pretty much disappears after Stalingrad. There were some that were in Stalingrad. It seems tedious, and sometimes this gets covered over in the dry brushing process. But I feel better having done it. Oh, a camouflage question. Not sure. I think the pre-paint not quite right. Got to get paint advice. Somebody that I know asked me about. A Dunkelgelb question. Okay, so we got that. Now we're going to go to the bigger brush and we're going to use this, the color I like using for tracks. And of course it's not here anymore because I put it away. Here it is. Actually, one of the most popular colors I use. German, what is this called? Camouflage black brown. Used to be called SS Camo Black or something like that. You know what? I'm going to try to use some of this from here. It's just pooling here. Just a little bit more of that. Maybe that'll be enough. And we're going to need more water than that. Dunkelgelb is like faces. Painting Dunkelgelb is like painting faces. You can't paint a face with one color and go, oh, I use flesh color. Why doesn't it look like a face? There's more to it than that, you know? Dunkelgelb, you need like four things to get it to where I'm comfortable with it. Or more, I guess. Base color, do a brown wash that changes it, and then start highlighting some of this stuff. And then it'll start looking like what you think it looks like. But if you use any of the base Dunkelgelb colors, you're like, this looks like shit, it's too green. Well, it kind of is. It kind of is. It just doesn't look right. So... and then you got it just how you want it. And then you go outside to take a picture and it looks totally different. It really is affected by the lighting that you're painting it in more than any color that I can think of. And I think it's because it does have that it has a little bit of a green undertone to it. Olive drab's that way too. Olive drab's really all over the place. And it kind of depends which olive drab you use also. He's still on? I need to remember to leave this on all the time, so I know that whether we're rolling or not. And some things are just kind of counterintuitive. I can't look at that there. I can't look at that there. Sort by most recent, but then the one I'm on doesn't show it. Okay, so let me go in as a... I think I need to go in as a incognito. And then go here. And then go here. And then go here. And then I gotta listen to my own, I gotta watch my own commercial that I didn't get to pick. So if you're ever wondering, why'd you get that pick? We don't pick them. I've made Hundreds of videos, and never once have been asked, would you rather have these kind of commercials or these kind of commercials? None. So hopefully they're not like political commercials that I like disagree with. It could be. Um, Man, there's a lot of this trash on here. Okay. Okay. Looks like we are on. All right. And there's all kinds of different ways you can do the track. Some of them are uber realistic. I just want this to look like a war game miniatures first and foremost. That doesn't mean I don't. I want it to look. That doesn't mean I want it to look unrealistic. It just means there's just some stylistic choices that I prefer. Okay, and we're going to flip over to this side and do the same thing over here. Really great detail on this track. I was watching I came across tracks or something like that on one of my searches, and I came across this site. It was either a face, it was either, this page really. It was either a Facebook page or a Reddit site, and this guy was saying, "I hate separate link track. It shouldn't be this difficult." And at first glance, I'm like, "Come on, what's the big deal?" And then it was actually a vehicle. I want to say it was 1/35th scale. I don't think it was larger than that. And it had each link of track was like 6 pieces. So you had like a flat plate or 2 flat plates and something attached to that, and you had to attach the teeth. And I'm like, okay, that's too much. Um, like, I mean, it's doable. With the power of cardboard, assembling it over cardboard. Pretty easy to do. I built a couple tanks with separate link track on live videos. I don't want to do them on canned videos. That's just too much. I'd have to reconfigure where the hell the camera is. The other place was great. I put the camera here and fast forwarded it. But there's people that already do that. I need a little bit more of this stuff. And then we're going to need to dry a little bit because we don't want to pick up any of these wet colors and start sloshing them around. You're back in. Man, you were gone for a long time. Where'd you go, man? You left, and we even had famous people come by. Breakfast duty. Yeah. Yeah, somebody thinks it's cute. I told him, so you should use your real name, man. I'm sure you're not, I'm sure you're a better individual than Adolf Hitler. At least come in as like, Manteuffel or somebody that we can talk tactics. Manstein. Tell us about your backhand blow there. All right. And the things that need to be painted black are going to wait until after the weathering phase. Now, let's go back. Since I need a little bit of time, not a whole lot of time, a little bit of time for this to be. Yeah, you missed this. You missed this cute little bastard. Long ass barrel. I went a little lighter on the overbrush. I think the BT7 could have been better if I hadn't overbrushed it so much and undone some of the pre-shading. Now, with that said, this one has the most pre-shading of any of the other ones still left on it. And then, so whenever I'm done with this one will be the one with the most. So, we're tinkering with stuff, We're tinkering with things. We're always learning. Always learning. One thing I didn't do on here, and I have time to do that because I need maybe 5 minutes for this to set. Nothing crazy. Let's pull this crazy ass color out again, and let's do some scratches. Because I like doing scratches. I call them scratches. Imperfections, whatever. It's not Russian brown. Uh-oh. And we're going to get a little bit of that dark sand. This paint's so watery. Let me put one drop. I haven't even squeezed it. It's like, brah! A little bit of, what a turd. Yeah. This is not the time or place, Cato. That should be more than enough. Tasty. We're gonna hide this somewhere, like down here. Nope, needs to be have a little bit more dark sand in it than that. I know, that'll be too much. Yep, called it. Yeah, I'm always messing with the consistency of the paint. Always. Yep. Yep. Let's make a bigger batch of this stuff. Yep, I like this. That's why I didn't want to say send Chad those pictures. We're not done yet, man. We can do better. But wait, there's more. You know these are taking it to the next level. Now I don't know if I could take the Yag Tiger to the next level. That's the best thing I've ever painted so far. But why? It's probably the nicest model I've ever built. So nicer models make me up my game more. Yep. Yep, that's where we want to be. So much good stuff on Chad's site. Really, really like the Kulan models. Yeah, I like them all. I mean, the Kulans are better than the other ones only because they have these little holes that the other ones don't have for the things to attach to. Um, Other than that, I mean, this is just as good. It just doesn't have those little holes, which we'll see what I do with that. I don't dislike any of the ones that I gotten. I mean, they're as good as Cromwell models. I mean, that's. I mean, if there's something that like is a sign that's like, man, so you're saying they're that good? I said they're as good as Cromwell, and Cromwell was like the gold standard as far as I'm concerned. I got that Tiger one. It's absolutely gorgeous. This actually might be a thing to do the wet palette with. Now that I think about it, like this stage. All right, working our way up. All right, we're good with the wheels here. Let's force some shadows or force some highlights. Also, learning Battle Valor figures, and Ed just released 2 new figure sets for North Africa, and including the Ramkey Brigade. You get excited about paratroopers, don't you? I don't know what it is about them. I'm not a big. I just have a hard time getting excited about them, or the SS really. You know what I really don't like? I don't like those. The Panzer Lehr had those special uniforms that were like the Panzer tunic cut, but in field gray, and a lot of their infantry wore that for whatever reason. Just Panzer Lehr. I don't like that. So I've got several scenarios that the Panzer Lehr is going to be in. I'm just going to use regular infantry. I figured, oh, some of them they ran out of those uniforms, and but that's the cool thing is there's so much stuff that's interesting, and just because you're not interested in one thing doesn't mean that there's not something else that would catch your fancy on. The Ramkey Brigade. Like I was talking about earlier, Crete doesn't interest me in the least bit. They paint camouflage uniforms. The British, yeah, the British paratroopers, yeah, awesome. The Brits your favorite? The uniform's great. Looks great with a red beret. Looks great. Yep. Good show, chaps. They weren't involved in anything that I really care to recreate. Like I don't want to do Arnhem. I'm more likely to do stuff around Pegasus Bridge than Arnhem. I can't do everything, so I might as well be picky and do some things that I'm not interested in. So, or I guess not do things that I'm not interested in. All right, what else would stand out here? Let's do the edge of these. So the advantage of doing what I'm doing right now is I'm going in there and I'm enjoying all the little divots and things that are on this wonderful model, and 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 adding specific highlighting in specific places on this specific model. There's a little edge there. Let's make that little edge pop. Let's do the same treatment over here. Well, we're almost done. There's some pictures of BT7s. There's one in particular that like looks like it was entered in a painting contest, and even though it's extremely well done, I don't like it. It's not the look I'm looking for. So, off to church. Watch the remainder later. Pray that your hand stays steady and don't over caffeinate. Yeah, no more for me. Thanks, man. I'll send you. I'll send you pictures as soon as I can. I want to see them, and I'm gonna try to take good photos because I suck at that. Hey, how about I just mail this to you and then you take photo? Can you imagine if this thing got damaged in the mail? Okay. Okay, you commie dude. We'll just mount him on here. Yeah, I'm a professional like caffeine drinker, and that stuff just it blows my freaking mind. It's too strong actually. I don't know that it's made me jittery, but it like mentally it makes me jittery. That's relatively new though. We ended up having an espresso in it. It kind of died, and we got this other one. It's much smaller, and I don't drink that much coffee each day. It's just I drink like two cups. I don't drink more than that. Because first of all, then you get dependent on it, and the worst part about being dependent is when you don't have it. You know, you get headaches and stuff like that. So I don't want to not have any. Like I could probably not have coffee and be fine and just have enough coffee off soda, but it just means I got to drink more soda and probably shouldn't be doing that. Oh yeah. So you put some little imperfections here. I don't chip. I don't do chipping, but I do that. On one of the other model groups, I want to say it's the Tamiya model group. Not that I do any Tamiya models, but I'm a member of it. Some guy says, "Hey, this is a picture of my Panzer II before I ruined it with chipping," and it looked really nice. I actually find this part that I'm doing really relaxing. Is if I do screw up, I didn't screw it up with a lot of paint. And the inside of Russian tanks was like white, but the jury's still out on the inside of the hatches. I don't like the inside of the hatches being white. It's like you open it, and it's like gleam. Told you I wasn't done with this thing. But wait, there's more. Yeah, my stomach is just like, yes, 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 yes. Barbarian stomach. Okay, I think we're gonna leave this as this is. Well, after we seal it. Okay. And yeah, I could do more brown and stuff underneath the undercarriage, but I don't think I'm gonna get into that. Not on that one. We'll save that for like some of these winter ones. We'll be all like dirty and shit down there at the bottom. Okay. Um, the dry brush phase. And the napkin is working wonderfully. All right, where is our delicious dry brush? Dry brushing brush. Did I pull it out? Actually, I gotta use the little boy's room. I'll be right back. Okay. Oh, we never did find that, did we? Is it this one? It is this one. It's still got green on it. Well, let's use my superpower. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, that's hard to do on the wrong hand. I'm extremely right-handed. Let me make sure I don't screw myself. Let's wait for that one to dry. They use this one for dry brushing. And we're going to go super light. This thing's been rinsed with water now, so it won't be reactive. If hand sanitizer works that well to get paint off, you don't want any vestiges of that when you put new paint on it. It's not going to work as advertised. All right. US Field Drab. Get some underneath there. Good. I like that. I like that. I don't like the super orange looking rust, which it would be that way if you didn't run it, but you know, these are caught in action. So we're going to dry brush two colors, so you need to lose some. Yes, yes, stomach, yes. The stomach of Scooby-Doo. I just dry brushed all that black that I painted on the road wheels. Well, I know it's there. I got proof. I got it on video. Okay, I think that's a plenty. I'm going to do very little here. Good fit. It's just loose enough to not cause any problems. It's amazing how brown that one is. It'll look a little different when it's sealed. It'll actually look better different. It always seems to. It just it chills all the colors out. Iraqi sand. Why do I use these colors? Well, they're the colors I use in my basing. Why do I use those colors in my basing? Well, I watched something. I saw basing ideas on the Flames of War site, and I happen to like this combination of chocolate brown, U.S. field drab, and Iraqi sand. So that's kind of what I don't use this for North Africa, but that's what I use for temperate stuff. And the Pacific will be something different as well. Very light. We're not going to the desert with this guy. Okay, but it does get dusty. Actually, I don't use airbrushing for weathering. I could, but I'm not there yet. We're going to leave this as is, like this. God, this thing is cute. You know, a lot of these little tanks are really cute. Panzer IIs are really cute. These Soviet-like tanks are cute. Okay, you know what time it is? It's black. It's blacklining time. And paint the cute little headlight time. Wer ist mein Nuln Oil? And this has other little add-ons you can put on there. I end up cogitating about that way too much. So if I add them, I'll add them on later. I like that other thing that I had. What did I do with it? Well, let's turn it off somewhere. All right, we have a hatch here. Make that little, like that little divider in the hatch stand out. And back here, we're going to have a lot of this. This brush has actually lasted really a long time. So I'm not putting a lot of pressure on it. I'm just kind of gliding it over the surface. And actually, this thing is worth the price of the rest of the brushes in this pack. And there's only like a, I don't know, $6 pack of brushes or something like that. Master's Touch, I think is what these things are called. Fine Touch. The Fine Touch. From Hobby Lobby. Wow. There's all kinds of little, cute little details on here. What a cute little thing. Yeah, this thing definitely has better detail than my 135th scale model. The T60's main gun was a 20 millimeter. Was it rapid firing? I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it was magazine fed. Like the 20 millimeter on the Panzer II. Pretty sure it was magazine fed. The Panzer II was a four-man tank, wasn't it? Might have been three. But there's definitely two people in the turret. Well, this one only has one. So, I wonder what. Now I'm thinking, what's the caliber length of this thing? Well, the easiest place to find it. Because he uses real terminology. Assuming I can find it. Where's the data sheets? Equipment and data sheet. So I don't have Japanese information from. I don't have Japanese information from the Face of Battle, but I got lots of sources, or Italian stuff either. We'll be able to make that stuff up. Okay, where the hell's Soviet Union? The United Kingdom, United States. That one should be the one all the way in the back. Nope, got Soviet Union in the back. Okay. A T60, a 20L75. That's pretty long. A 75 caliber weapon is pretty freaking long. And just for yucks, according to this, I know this is like the super quick version of something. Okay, the best penetration on that goes up to 20 inches, neg 3 or neg 4. So let's compare it to the Panzer II, which is an 055. Equivalent. Here it says the Panzer II has HE. It doesn't say that this has HE. So maybe it only fires solid shot, which is going to be limited use against infantry. Well, that's why you have a coax machine gun. Just has AP on here, so I don't know if that's actually incorrect or reflected in the game, or that's the kind of stuff that I want to look into. Is like, okay, go online, find out if they have AP, HE ammo for it. So PZ Panzer II was a 3-man. Okay, so but it was a 2-man turret. I'm pretty sure it's a 2-man turret. So, but this weapon is 20 calibers longer. So you would think it would be higher muzzle velocity, but you never know. Well, we'll look into that stuff. We will look into those things. Those are the things that we will look into. Yeah, we're gonna run this line through here. He's put this nice detail on these fenders. We're certainly gonna make it pop. But like a couple of those vehicles I've already picked up, I don't know that I really want them. I don't really think it's worth my time messing with them. That's the third time I've washed that. So every time it gets a little bit darker, it's like, no, give me a little bit more contrast. No, give me a little bit more contrast. I don't know what the hell we got planned today. Now, let's get back here to the fun part. Some things I don't mind it being a little heavier because there's somewhere for it to pool. Just answering somebody's question. Yeah, these soft plastic figures are actually a surprise. They're most of them are really pretty decent. Okay, and we got the same little bolt holes here on the side. Rivets. Rivets, really. Riveted construction. I was reading about something. I want to say it was American Tanks that had riveted construction. It might have been Stewart's, something like that. And they said that they'd have these hits, and if it sheared off the rivet, it'd be like bouncing around inside the turret, and have all kinds of issues. So just because you can't penetrate the tank doesn't mean you can't do any damage. And this is the exhaust, so I'm going to dirty that up a little bit where that goes. Let's get those there. And then this one here. Okay. And I think we can move on to the turret. I think we can move on to the turret. Should look up what the model, that T60 model was that I had. All right. Several plugs there for the pistol ports. I bought this null oil. I've used it a lot, but man, it goes a long way. There, is this bending back now? Well, worst case scenario, we'll just have to replace it by wire. It's not that big of a deal. I was kind of planning on doing that anyways, and then kind of didn't have to. Got a little bit of a booger there. All right, that really looks pretty good. That looks even better than the BT. I left some of that pre-shade on. Okay, note to self, we'll pre-shade and leave some on. I mean, it's not the end all to everything, but just add some of this darkness around the tools. Random topic, but I just watched the April 9th movie again last night. Really, the action segments with the German vehicles. Really like the action segment with the German vehicles and the Danish motorcycles. I know, but it's a movie that could last almost as long as the invasion. I mean, the war only lasted freaking 6 hours. I guess I should watch it, huh? I like those big ass goofy helmets that the Danes had. Did it show the Germans with stone gray trousers? That's what they would have had. They would have had stone gray trousers. All right, let's get the black out here and the rust. All right, is there any active black here? That one. Nope. Can't use my necromancer skills for that one. It was really well done. You're not going to make me buy motorcycles, are you? Because, I'm leery of that. I think I'd enjoy that a little too much. You know? Got a guy that rides up and down the road here in a motorcycle. He's a nuisance vehicle. He's just really, really loud. Must be making up for something. They had a 222. Oh, better have the right markings. I got those two to paint. I've already primed them. I primed them and they already have the gray base color. And a Panzer II. Let's see, that would have been April of 1940. That was the one thing is that if I do French troops, I think they were in Norway longer than they were in France. Meaning that, by the time France surrendered, they still had troops in Norway. I think that's the case. I saw that Narvik one. I don't want to watch that again. Some things are like, all right, I've given you enough time. Let's go ahead and do the. Wow, this stuff these colors are just drying too fast. I know. You should use a wet palette. I don't want to fire it up. Headlight time. We're running into a situation here. Okay, that's good. We just need to take a little bit of this green, which I'm sure is... Oh, maybe it's not dead. Add a little bit of black to it. There we go. That fixed it right up. All right, let's go ahead and do the metallic color. Not that one. I want it a little bit brighter. It stands out a little bit more. You don't need to go mithril silver, but lead belcher. Brrr. That'd be like an M16 half track. Lead belcher. Dunga, dunga, dunga. cute little thing. This is how I get all these paints out here. Like, why is your thing covered in paints? Was I pull one out and then I gotta pull another one out and I gotta pull another one out. I don't go and put it back there. Shouldn't need more beige brown than that. Okay, now this rusty thing has dried up a little bit, and we can go back to it. This is so damn watery. Yeah. All right, now we take this bigger one. And if the exhaust is coming out here, then this whole area is going to be covered in soot. right. What else does this thing need? Other than that scratches part, I think we're done with it. I feel like it was a really kind of a quick build. Quick paint. How long have we been on here? 3.5 hours. Yeah, it should takes time. Still faster than painting figures. Now look at that little thing. That's not a light tank. This is a main battle tank. If that's a light tank. Let's put this away. Today's supposed to be a pretty cool day, actually, temperature-wise. Got this. Let's get that little sandy color. Huh. This one's not stuck in there. Where is that? Where's the tweezers? It's so difficult to get that pair of tweezers out. I really don't need to even put it in there. It gets used so much. You've seen photos of the BT7 driving on its road wheels, even on rail lines without tracks. That's bold. You know what the QC is like on a Soviet rail line? Non-existent, probably. Don't need very much of this. Now, is there something to take off down here? Yeah. Let's just remove. See, some of these colors are like really stay together really well, and some just misbehave all the time. Like this, like is like a solid color. It doesn't. It's not all watery and shit. And some other colors just can't ever get them right. Can't ever get them to the right consistency. We're going to need more of this. There. Let's put this handy. All right. Let's see how we're doing color-wise here. Let's check it down here. Too light. So if we do something like the edge of that, I think it's still too light. these little edges to stand out. I think we're going to call this one done. I think we're going to call this one done. Now, they're not sealed, so they're going to look a little bit better. Hopefully. I did something wrong. Let's see if I can take a photo of these two guys. Now let me take a look at the. Yeah, the pre-shading helped. The pre-shading helped. So we're going to go seal these things so we can see what the final result's going to be. We don't have to seal the figure. The figure's already been hand sealed. That's going to be it for now. I'll post some pictures online. And next thing we're going to do is, wrong glasses. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to build out that Panzerjäger one. So, okay, folks,